From New York, Ms. Velazquez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pandit, last January, we learned that Citigroup was supporting legislation that will let bankruptcy adjust mortgages for at-risk borrowers. And I would like, since you are quite a convincing person, that you provide the rationale for supporting that legislation so that your colleagues that are sitting at the table understand why it's important to support that type of legislative initiative.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. None of these decisions are easy. Let's start there. But these are unusual times. They need unusual tools, and we've got to admit that. What we found is that when we talk to homeowners, we can figure out a way to keep them in their homes. And so when we go back to this particular legislation, to us what was important was to say, let's apply it retroactively, meaning it is for loans that have been made up to now. It's not about the future of the market.
So what you're telling me is that what you're doing in supporting bankruptcy crampdown is a better answer than foreclosure.
To me, the proposal that's in there that says the homeowner has to have had a negotiation with its bank or mortgage owner for 10 days before bankruptcy gives us the opportunity to talk to them and renegotiate that. We think that's good for America. And by the way, if they do go into bankruptcy, we have enormous confidence in the judicial system of America.
I would like to go down the table here, starting with Mr. Blanfy, and ask you, would you be supportive?
I agree with what Mr. Pandit said about in difficult times you can do, you can make difficult decisions, and I would say we would not be supportive in general because these things have consequences, and if you allow these contracts to be changed in bankruptcy and admit the vagaries of that kind of uncertainty, one of the consequences we may find that may be unwanted is that less capital flows into these markets. Because
so are you implying that Citigroup lost their mind?
No, as I started out by saying, you could come out just
Mr.
either
Diamond,
side of the line
I just want a yes or no answer. I don't have much time. Mr.
If they
Diamond.
have, it's not because of this issue.
Yeah.
No, we don't agree. No, we don't agree.
Next, Mr. Kelly.
Limiting foreclosures are incredibly important, I think, to America, and we have to solve that, but the cram-down legislation is problematic.
Okay, Mr. Lewis.
We think something could be worked out, but we want encouragement for the borrower to talk to the lender for some period of time first.
Mr. Lowe.
We think as well that anything that we can do to help there in mortgage foreclosure area is good. However, we do think there are also consequences that could be not beneficial.
Mr. Mack.
I would agree with my colleagues on the right. We need to negotiate and try to work things out.
And I agree also that we need to work without bankruptcy. I think bankruptcy has some real negative consequences.
Thank you. Gentlemen, there have been talks about a $68 billion merger between drug giants Pfizer and Wyeth. About $22.5 billion, or about a third of this transaction, will come from bank loans, and especially banks that are taking TARP money. While you're giving away money to corporate giants, the Federal Senior Loan Officer Survey showed that over 74% of respondents reported tighter credit lending standards on loans to small firms in the last quarter of 2008. And I heard some of you saying that you're lending to small businesses. But let me just say that the numbers don't lie. This is the Federal Reserve's own survey. Credit for small firms is lower than it has ever been in the history of the Fed survey. So can you explain why your institutions are finding money to fund a multi-billion-dollar merger that will produce 19,000 job losses, but will not find more money to lend to small businesses? Of course, you're not going to provide an answer. But let me just say, here is the case of a businessman, a responsible businessman from Florida who was paying his loan on time, to a bank that received $3.4 billion in TARP money last year. And he asked for an extension on the maturity date of his loan to continue to make payments until the market settled. And it was denied. The bank took their properties. And that is what we have here on this table.
The gentleman.